So, what I want to begin with is since last week, I'm just going to go back in the messages. There were a few questions that were asked, and then a few questions I had said I'm going to continue explaining in the workshop. One of them was, I know it was from Junaid. It was the question about the present perfect and the present perfect progressive. So if you guys are okay, if you allow me, then I can start with that question first.
Sure, sure.
Thank you. I think only Nasida's mic is working today. So what I'm going to do is, this was, okay, perfect. Okay, so we're going to start, and I would really recommend that it's not a very long class. We only have about 55 minutes left. So I would really recommend that you ask any questions that, you know, if you have any from besides the WhatsApp group, it's perfectly okay. But if you specifically have any questions that were discussed or the challenges that we had during the week in the WhatsApp group, it's a very good place right now to ask those questions, because I can actually answer them in a live session in which, you know, we both can make sure that you understand and I'm sure that you understood. So I'm going to begin with the first one, in which Junaid had asked me the difference between the following two sentences. I'm going to write them down, and I'll make it a bit bigger so it's kind of visible for everyone. Okay, so these were the two sentences. One is the present perfect, and one is the present perfect progressive. Okay, so obviously this is the present perfect progressive. Doesn't really matter what you want to call it, because it's how you use it. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but if you don't use it correctly, it doesn't really matter. When we say, first of all, they both have the same meaning. That's my first answer. They both have the exact same meaning of what you're trying to say. That this person started in 2009 and this person still works at BBC. Nothing has changed, right? So no change. And since this date, this is their job. Now, the only, I wouldn't say difference, and even in the group, I had mentioned that I'm not going to use the word difference, but the only emphasis that is being added is that when we use a present perfect progressive, then it emphasizes the duration of whatever action is being spoken about. In some situations, in some cases, it doesn't matter. But in some cases, it does matter. So I'm going to give you a different example, okay? The meaning will be entirely the same, but look at the focus, the shift on the emphasis, right? So the situation is that I'm waiting for someone to come pick me up. It's very cold outside. It's wet outside. It's raining or it's snowing and it's very cold, and I'm waiting for someone. And that person is late. So I tell that person, I've been waiting for 20 minutes. I'm going to put this on this side. And I can tell that person, they're both absolutely correct. They both have the same meaning. In every language, whatever language you speak, there's always, well, not always, but mostly there's at least more than one way of saying something. Anything that we're trying to say, there are many different ways of saying the same thing. So in English, obviously, it's the same situation in which you can say this action, me waiting for 20 minutes, it can be said in two different ways. But if I say I have been waiting for 20 minutes, I'm not emphasizing on waiting, I'm emphasizing on the 20 minutes. So maybe I'm angry, maybe I'm tired, maybe I'm cold, maybe I'm all of the above. But when I say I have waited for 20 minutes, then there's really no emphasis. I could still be very angry or upset or cold, but you don't really necessarily know that unless you hear me say it or unless you hear the sentences I say before and after. But when I say I have been waiting for 20 minutes, you don't even need to hear my tone of voice or what I say before and after, because I'm emphasizing on the 20 minutes. The meaning is entirely the same. So in this case, I'm expressing my feeling. In a different situation, if I'm going for a job interview, right, it would be better to use the present perfect progressive at a job interview, because I want to emphasize my experience. And my experience is always duration, how long I've done something, or how many times I've done something, or since when I've done something. It emphasizes my experience. But it doesn't change any action. It just emphasizes on the experience, the duration part, as opposed to just the same what I've done. So here we got job interview. This is one situation in which I want to use this. And I also want to emphasize on maybe I'm showing off, right? So at a job interview, maybe I need to show off, or maybe not even at a job interview, anywhere else, right? Maybe if I am working with a colleague and a colleague started teaching 2 years ago, but I started teaching 20 years ago. So maybe I just want to emphasize that, yes, we both work here, we both teach here, but I want to emphasize my experience is more than you. So if I need to do that, then I can use the present perfect progressive. The present perfect progressive doesn't change anything. The difference will be if I say I waited for 20 minutes, or he worked at BBC in 2009. Because when I say I waited for 20 minutes, I don't work. If I say I waited for 20 minutes, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm talking about the 20 minutes is over, my wait is over. I'm talking about an event and a time in the past, no connection to as I'm speaking. And if I say he worked at BBC in 2009, he does not work there anymore. Definitely, he doesn't work there anymore. Okay. Yes, Noreen. Noreen, you have a question?
No, no, I
Junaid,
have no.
okay, your mic was on. So, Junaid, you said, so we can say that present perfect progressive is only used to emphasize on the duration. Not only, I did not say, it does that. It helps you do that. If you need to emphasize the duration, if that is what you want to do, you do that. But if you don't want to and you still do it, it's perfectly fine, right? Like, I mean, we started this workshop about 12 minutes ago. So that start is finished, right? The action started, you only start once and then now we're in the class, right? I can say we have been here for 12 minutes and I have been speaking nonstop for 12 minutes. The fact doesn't change, right? But if I want to emphasize, so yes, Junaid, your question is kind of right. I don't want to say yes, because in grammar, there's no such thing as yes all the time, 100%. That's exactly what we do. That's not how it works in grammar, but for the sake of explaining it to you, if that helps you understand, then yes, it is used to, I don't want to use the word only, but it is used to emphasize the duration, not on the duration. It emphasizes, you see, I did not use on over here. Okay, so on is wrong. It emphasizes the duration, not on the duration. But absolutely. Junaid, if you can turn on your mic, could you please tell me, I want to hear you tell me if you understand this or if you have any more question on this. Are you there? Okay, I think there's an audio problem. Can you write and tell me?
Okay, meanwhile, Junaid is writing. I just have a question.
Please,
Like,
Nasira.
yeah, like the way we stress the words sometimes are also important, right? Like
Yeah,
if I say like I have waited for 20 minutes, like like in a rude, like angry
yeah,
manner, so
yeah.
then it would change the meaning, right? It would become like kind of progressive.
You could stress 20 minutes and still imply your impatience. Absolutely, why not? Exactly. Absolutely. And I could tell you that I have taught English for 20 years. I'm still doing the same thing, right? So absolutely, absolutely. And honestly, when we're speaking, the way we pause and the way we intonate our voice, it does everything right to tell the first the listener. But I think the problem comes more when the reader is reading our emotion as opposed to a listener. With listening, you can really, like you said, it's the way you stress. But if you're reading and you cannot really hear me, maybe you don't know me, if I'm applying for a job interview, then you definitely don't know me, right? So then I need to emphasize that 20 minutes or 20 years, and then it's going to help me by using the present perfect progressive to do what I want to do because you don't know me and you can't hear me. So absolutely, how you say your sentence, where you pause, where you intonate, makes a whole difference. It's a good question, Lily, and thank you, Janae, for your answer. Um, Anything more on the present perfect? Because I do want to answer a few more questions, but there's no rush. I only want to go ahead if you're absolutely comfortable. Okay. So then, Ravia, so that's why we can't say 100% that present perfect progressive only used to emphasize the duration. Not the duration, just duration. Okay, look at my red sentence over here. There's no on, there's no the. It's very important not to put the duration in general. Um, we can say 100%. Why not? Yes, present perfect progressive it's just not only present perfect progressive will emphasize, it's written in red over here, it will emphasize the duration. I don't want to say only because there are other ways to emphasize duration as well. Like Nasira said, that you could use a present perfect and also emphasize the duration. Like I have waited for 20 minutes. That's an emphasis on duration in spoken English, right? But in written or in non stressed out sentences, then it's not the only way, but it does 100% do the work. Is that clear? Like, do you guys understand? We can't say only because there are other ways of emphasizing duration, but that's not the question. The question is, what does present perfect progressive do? It emphasizes duration. It does emphasize duration, but it's not the only way. You could do it in other ways too. Okay, I'm going to go ahead to the next one. Everyone is very quiet today. So I'm going to go to the next one. And of course, if anyone has a question from up, I can always scroll back up. So don't be shy to ask any questions, please. This next question was also from Junaid. And he had asked me to explain the difference between two sentences that I had given. So I'm going to write those two sentences. One was, my grandparents only knew each other for a few months before they got married, and he wanted to compare that with this sentence. I've known about the problem for months, but I haven't found a solution yet. So he wanted to say what's the difference between question 4 and 15. In question 4, you've used the past simple, and 15, the present perfect. Okay, so if you see, this was on the document. This was number 4, and this was number 15. If you look at number 4, my grandparents only knew each other for a few months before they got married. One, we have a time word right here, right? Remember, present perfect, we don't mention exact time, like yesterday, before, last week, ago, 2006. We don't use time words. So one reason is, well, there's to the time word here, a few months before they got married. It's in Urdu, if we say that, वो जानते थे मिलने से पहले या शादी करने से पहले. Everything is पहले. So पहले is past. It's not connected to now. They know each other now, and they are married now. There's no connection to now. And the bigger thing is there's a mention of the word before. So we know when. We know kab ki baat ho rahi hai. So that means we know when. And when we know when, we do not use the present perfect. However, if we look at number 15, I've known about the problem for months, but I haven't found a solution yet. The key word here is yet, abhi tak. And when we say abhi tak, that means you're still in that time. That abhi is not over yet. So it's literally like a circle that we could be stuck in, right? Like abhi tak, not yet. That means for a few months, for some time, not necessarily kab, but in the last few months, I know that this problem exists. मुझे पता है, और पहले से पता है. पहले से, right? At पहले से is present perfect, and I haven't found a solution yet, and abhi tak, I don't have a solution. So those key words are only used with either past simple on your left and then present perfect on your right. That is the explanation for that, but I would need someone to say yes or no before I can actually continue ahead. Does this mean everybody understands, or this means no one understands? Clear to me now, thanks. Okay, Janet. Excellent. So there was something else, and I'm trying to find that. There was a question that someone had asked me or said, and I really can't remember. And I do remember that Rabia had expressed concern towards the end of the workshop last time. So Rabia, could you please unmute yourself and go ahead? I remember I told you that next time I'll start with your question. Okay, Rabia is gone. Okay, so here's my question for you guys. Would you guys like to look at, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm having a deja vu in which I do remember that there was an if question that somebody had for me. And I just can't find it. So if anyone knows where that is, because here is the, so from, I think it was, when was it? Thursday, from the Thursday challenge. I had given you guys a little sort of a template, right? Like a little sentence template, and you guys had to fill that out. So I had said, if you're tired, which commas are very important because they're actually a clause. We're breaking our thought in there. Now, does anyone know if this is the first conditional or the second or the third? Oh, no problem, Rabia, no problem.
It's first, I guess.
It's the first conditional. That's right. That's right. And what is the first conditional about? So if I say, I don't know, what is a first conditional, or what is that? What is special about the first conditional? Or what separates the first conditional from the other conditionals? It's a very important question. Or maybe the answer is more important. And Junaid, I see your question, but I'm going to come back to that in just as someone can just tell me. Yes, Junaid? I think your audio is not working. Maybe it's the service today is really bad over there, I think, in Pakistan. So I'll just go ahead, and I hope that that's what you guys are thinking. But first conditional is when we're talking about something true. It's like for sure, and it's a fact. So when you say, if you're tired, then whatever I'm about to say after is not hypothetical, it's not imaginary, and it's not regretful about the past. It's about the present or the future. It's stative, so it's always going to be a fact, and it's for sure. It's a for sure thing that I'm saying. It's not hypothetical. So first conditional, the most important thing is that it's not hypothetical, because normally when we talk about if, it means hypothetical. Does anyone not know what hypothetical means? Because I don't mind explaining that, but I don't want to explain it if everyone knows. Okay, so hypothetical means, thank you for asking. Hypothetical is imaginary. You're talking about a situation that maybe will happen, maybe will not happen. And then you're talking about the result. Maybe it will happen, maybe it won't happen. So that's hypothetical. So hypothetical, which is called the second conditional, which is not this conditional, is a maybe conditional. Okay, that's a very bad definition of it, but just for making it easy, hypothetical is a second conditional, which so basically a conditional is basically two parts, not 21 parts, two parts. So it is the first clause, right? So not first clause, but basically there are two clauses. They can go, you can have first and then second, or second and then first. You can put them in any way you want to put it. But basically it's two parts, in which one part is if this happens in the future, then this may happen. This may be the result of that, right? And then because it's may, we say if this happened, because it's really like, I'm not even sure if this will happen. I'm not sure if, right? Not sure, but if this happened, then this may be the result. It might not be the result. Maybe a result will be different. It's all very hypothetical. It's all very maybe. It's not exact. And I don't have a word for hypothetical in Urdu, but if anyone does, please do share with me, and that might help someone else understand, and definitely will help me understand too. So that is hypothetical. But when we talk about the first conditional, it is not hypothetical. That means what I'm saying, the result, that will be the result. I'm very sure about the result. It's for sure. Okay. So with that, so that is the second conditional, which is hypothetical. Okay. So now let's look at my template that I've written, which I'm going to just copy it again. Excuse me. And I had said, I had filled it in with my example. I had said, if you're tired of always being late to meetings, so if that is your situation, I'm not sure if it's not, but if that's your situation, How do you feel about that? How does a person feel? Well, which puts you in a bad position or makes you look. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Unprofessional. So this is how I filled this part in. There's a way, so you're giving me a solution. There's a way to, what did I say? Avoid that by setting multiple alarms, right? And I know I wrote something else, but I'm just going to stick with this for now. So this would be a perfect example of a first conditional. Okay, so Noreen says, if you are tired of always being unhappy with someone's behavior, which puts a bad impression on your mental health, there is a way to set boundaries. And then you don't need to write which helps your mental peace, because you already said that this situation is going to help you if you are tired of this. And then your sentence is very, very correct, Noreen. It's very good. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, if I say I have seen Ali today morning, so we never say today morning, by the way. Okay, so today morning is wrong. Can anyone tell me what the right word is? What do we talk about? Aaj subah. How do we say that? Aaj subah. How do we say that? Nasira, you want to try?
Yes, but I cannot see your screen. Like, I think you scrolled it up and like I cannot see it.
You can't see my screen?
Yeah, I think you scrolled it up and like you have to scroll down or something.
I actually have a screen that's open with 2 pages showing. If it's better, I can do 1 page.
Oh, okay, I got it now.
How's
Okay,
this
I'm
now?
so
Is that
sorry.
better?
Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah.
don't be sorry.
No, it was my mistake. I'm so sorry.
Is that no? Is it okay now? You can see it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can see it now.
So how do we say today morning? Not today morning, but how do we say aaj subah?
Today's morning, like
So no, so Rabia wrote it in the thing, and I think Rabia and who else? Rabia and Moaz, they both said it. It's this morning.
yeah, this morning. Yeah,
This morning. Okay, so here we go. What is this? The question was, if I say I've seen Ali today, this morning, why can we not use simple past here? It is still morning, but the event happened at a specific time at the morning, in the morning. Also, just another thing, at the morning is wrong, in the morning is good. Okay, these little tiny mistakes really are important, very important. Okay, so why can't I say that? Depends what time you're talking about. Okay, so right now, it's 11:32 a.m. in my city right now. Okay, so it's still morning, right? Now, if I want to say that I saw Ali, then I can say I've seen him earlier, for example, this morning, because that morning time isn't over yet, right? Because I'm still in the morning. But after about 27 minutes from now, because now it's 11:33, I cannot say I have seen, because it will no longer be morning. The morning will be over and I will be in the afternoon, and then I can't say this morning. I cannot say present perfect, I mean, because it's not morning anymore. That is why you can't say, and if it's 11:34 p.m., right, then I can't say I've seen him earlier this morning. It's wrong, because it's no longer morning. So I have to say I saw him earlier this morning, and that's fine, because morning is over. But if you want, because you're using the word this morning, if you want to use the word today, well, then at 11:34 p.m., it's still today. It's not the next day yet. I could say I've seen him today. Then it's okay. I saw him at 8 o'clock. Would it be correct even if it's still morning? I saw him at 8 o'clock is perfect because you're using past simple. Absolutely. And you're using a specific time. 8 o'clock is a specific time. This morning is not a specific time, right? So you could say, I saw him at 8. One thing that I told my students the other day in the workshop that I teach over here for my work, when we're little, we learn in books to say, I am 7 years old. We always learn that, right? Like that's the right way we learn how to speak. Everyone learns that. But they don't teach you that after you become an adult, you don't say that anymore. When you become an adult, you just say, I am 43. Full stop, done. We don't say years old. Years old is really elementary, is very primary level English, and we only use it when you're a child. So it's kind of sad that they teach everyone how to say, I am 5 years old, I am 10 years old. So when you become an adult, we don't say years old anymore. This is, no one said this right now, but I had to say this because it's the same thing with o'clock. The same thing with it's 11 o'clock. It's kind of, it's not the advanced level English. It's not the spoken level English. So this is, of course, it's correct. Obviously, it's taught to you. But then how we say it is, it's 11. And then, of course, there's context, right? So like, if I'm telling you, okay, it's late, I'm going to sleep, it's 11, probably it's PM. And if I say, oh, I woke up so late, I woke up at 11, then it's probably AM, right? So it's all about the context and all about what you're saying. But these little things are something that are not textbook material. They don't really teach you in the textbook, but then they're actually really, really, they help you sound more comfortable and confident in speaking English when you're not using those extra words in there. And it's kind of funny, I think, because they teach you, but then they forget to unteach you that, okay, you can stop saying that now. I saw him at 8 o'clock this morning. Would it be correct? Yes, but like I just said, if you just listened to me about 30 seconds ago, I just said don't use o'clock, right? Like, this is my point right over here. Don't use o'clock. It does not sound, it's not what an English speaking person is going to say. And I'm not talking about sounding like a white person. I'm talking about sounding confident in speaking English and speaking better English. So I saw him at 8 this morning. There's no reason to say o'clock. It's not what we use anymore in English. It's very, very, very old English, or very, very elementary to teach children how to tell the time. Okay. Please go ahead and ask me any question. You're most welcome. Let me know if there's any more question, because I am just looking at the sentences from this week to see if we have any more question from this week. But I would absolutely love it if you guys have a question right now in live session, so I can answer it in a better way than writing it out. Today, Rabia, you have no question. Okay, so let me give you another template, and I will allow you guys to fill it out in the chat. If you want to say it, I will. You can say it out. I will write it, and we can correct it. But I would like to. A lot of bad reception happening in Pakistan today because everyone's sort of in and out of the meeting today. But I'm going to give you a template, and I would like you to do a similar one as this that I've given you, like, if you're tired, which, So I'm going to give you another one, and then I want you to fill it out to the best of your ability, and then I will correct it. Okay. It's very simple. It's right on my screen. If he was da-da-da, that would something something. So I will allow you to just go ahead and you can, if you want to turn on your mic and say your sentence, I can write it out for you. If you want to write it in the chat, then I can correct it as well. So your question is, he started teaching since 2020. No, you can't start doing since something. So since is always used with present perfect. There's no story anymore to that. Like I told you guys last time as well, since is always used with present perfect. So he started teaching since 2020 is absolutely wrong. Doesn't matter if he's teaching anymore or not. So first of all, you would say he has taught or he has been teaching since 2020. This would be correct. But you said he is not teaching anymore. And by the way, it's not, when you want to say the short form of because, it's cuz, not C-O-Z, it's C-U-Z, it's cuz. And if you don't do that, that means you're pronouncing because wrong too. It's not because, it's because. So if you want to say that he's not teaching anymore, then you're going to say he stopped teaching in 2020, or he taught in 2020. Both of these sentences tell me that at the moment, you're most welcome, Rabia. And if you have any similar question, I would love to continue explaining that. So Junaid said, if he was good at, I'm just going to copy exactly how you said, and then I'll see if it's correct. Okay, so this is from Junaid. And so if he was good, you can never be good at English. Okay? You can be good in English. You can be good at speaking English because speaking is a verb, or you can be good in a subject. Are you good in mathematics? Not good at mathematics. You're good in mathematics. I'm good in physics. So good in a subject. And then if you're talking about a verb like speaking, then you can say I'm good at speaking English or I'm not good at speaking English. So if he was good in English, that would help him in his preparations for the CSS exams. Sentence is perfect then. Excellent. Very good. Anyone else? And this, as somebody else continues to write, this is a perfect example of a hypothetical situation. This tells me that, in fact, he is not good in English. So this tells me that explanation automatically, that the fact is that he's not good in English. Because if he was, then that would help him in his preparations. That's very good. So this is the second.
Ma'am, why did you mention that would? I mean, if he was like millionaire or something else, he would do something like. Why you mentioned that? I have this.
Well, English won't help him. I could just say that too. Like, I mean, first of all, he didn't say he was a millionaire, right? The sentences, they're two very, very different sentences. If you said, if he was, give me a sentence, Rabia, if he was a millionaire.
He would help the needy.
And that would be a perfect sentence. But I wanted you to use that. I just want you to use a different word. If you said if he was a millionaire, he would help this, because I'm giving you a template that I want you to fill out. If you want to say if he was a millionaire, he would help the needy, it's absolutely fine. And if you wanted to follow the template that I gave you, then you would say if he was millionaire, that would help him help the needy. They're both correct. Not one is better than the other. My template is not better than your sentence at all. Your sentence is absolutely fine also. It's just
Ma'am,
a different
because
way.
when we put that, will always have to mention would help him to like something help.
Well, because what would, right? You cannot say he would help. If he was a millionaire,
That would help him.
if you say that, but you don't have to. Like you see your sentence over here, you don't
Yes,
have
yes.
that, and it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly okay. He would help the needy is perfectly fine also. You don't have to put that. It's just I put that. I just wanted you to make a sentence with that in it.
Yes,
Also
that's
because
what I said. Okay.
there are certain words, certain expressions, and certain ways of speaking, certain ways of constructing sentences that unfortunately are not taught back home in our country. And it's when you don't use those certain expressions and when you don't evolve your English, then A, you sound like you're speaking really old English, and B, you sound like you are not comfortable in the language, you're not fluent, and then you're translative. So anyone who's attending the workshop or anyone who comes to the WhatsApp group, I know you're there because you want to improve, and I know you're there because you want to sound like you're not translating English and you're speaking it very naturally. So to speak natural or native or fluent English, then you need to adapt those certain words and certain vocabulary additions to your list that make you sound a bit more, because English is the most evolving language, like, I mean, if you want to speak French or if you want to speak Urdu, then the more, if you speak old Urdu, then you will always sound more, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, More competent. You will sound more competent as an Urdu speaker. You will sound more competent speaking French with bigger words and certain words. That's the way those two languages work. But when you speak English, it's quite the opposite. And it's so important to understand this because what happens is back home in our countries, India, Pakistan, both, that when someone tries to speak in, or when someone speaks in English and they want to speak to show that I'm competent and I can speak English, blah, 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 then they tend to use bigger words and heavier words. A perfect example of this, and if this is, I really recommend you guys to go and test this out by yourself, and you will see it by yourself. And this is what you can do. This is one of the best ways, because I had a lot of people argue with me and say, no, aise to nahi hota, bilkul bhi nahi, blah, blah, right? So, yeah, aise hota hai. And I can show you this. I can prove this to you in a very easy way. I want you to go. So this is a test that you can do to see, not to show, but to see for yourself that English back home, Pakistan, India, has not evolved. They're not letting go of those big colonial words and big heavy. No one speaks like that anymore. No one does. So when someone from Pakistan comes to Canada and when they speak, I automatically know. I don't even need to see their face. I don't need to hear them. I know exactly that they just came because they're using those heavy, big words that no one really uses over here, right? So this is what you can do. Okay, the Canadian news website is cbc.ca. So open that. Okay, so open that link and find an article. Find an article that you know will also be in a Pakistani, right? New English news article. Then find the similar story. So pick a world news story or something. Don't pick like a local Toronto story. Then find the similar news story in a good Pakistani or Indian newspaper or news website. Compare. And if you do it, tell me in the group. I saw this story. I saw this. Actually, I want to challenge you. Try to prove me wrong. Find the same story. And what will you see more? You'll see more phrasal verbs and spoken expressions on CBC, and you'll see a lot of acronyms, which really confuse me. My first language is English. I teach English. That's all I do for a living. If I didn't know how to teach English, I couldn't make a single paisa. Okay, so when I go to Pakistan and I pick up a newspaper, I can't understand it. I have so much difficulty in reading the newspaper because there's so many acronyms, abbreviations, right? You see a lot of acronyms. You're not going to see any acronyms on CBC. You will see a lot of acronyms plus ancient Latin-based words. Very colonial, very, very colonial that we don't use. So, and this is, I have already seen this, and I know this is true, but I don't believe me because Siddiqa is saying it, so say it. I challenge you. I want you to actually go whenever you have time, and then come back on the WhatsApp group and say, okay, I found this article, I found this, but it has to be the same story. So it's actually, it's more fun when you do it like that, right? So if there's, for example, the floods the earthquake in Morocco, right? What is acronyms? Acronyms are abbreviations. So like, for example, all of the political parties in Pakistan are always in acronyms too, right? The PM something and the PTI and the PPP and everything. These are all acronyms. Like they don't even say party names. They literally use acronyms or abbreviations that they use. Acronyms.
And they think like using acronyms or abbreviations would sound more professional in English or something like that.
Because उनका goal ही ये बन गया है कि हमने professional sound करना है. But that's not how people speak, right? People don't speak wearing a black suit and a tie. That's not, you're not supposed to sound like that. Even when you're wearing a black suit and a tie, even then you should speak language that is not quote unquote professional. And I know, Rabia, I know exactly what you're saying, and that's how you're taught, right? So like, I think my suggestion for you guys, and this is an honest suggestion, and I know, and it's difficult, I'm going to admit it's a very difficult suggestion I'm going to give you, is instead of learning how to speak better English, make your goal to unlearn what you have learned. Do that first. Like, for example, abbreviations or acronyms. In Pakistan, you have no choice. You're not going to, that's what you're going to use because that's what everybody uses, right? You can't, if you use something different, you'll stand out. But try to do this, read news articles and compare them but go to a good Pakistani news website, The Dawn, The News. They're excellent. They're excellent news. The writers are amazing. The news itself, like it's a good platform. They're amazing platforms. They're don't take me wrong. I'm not saying that, like we don't have good writers in Pakistan or we have so much wisdom and so much knowledge there that we're rich of it. But the problem is that to write impressively, they have to write like that because then no one's going to take it so seriously. So IT, yes. So IT for information technology is an abbreviation, and absolutely it is was because. But sometimes that's what we use. Some are known like that, right? Like that's just what we use. Like we work in the IT department, right? We don't work in the information technology department. So some are commonly used. But I don't want you to think of different acronyms or abbreviations right now. I don't want you to think of what they use. this is the challenge that I'm asking you to do, and this will be the challenge for maybe tomorrow. Okay, so Junaid, don't message me tomorrow. I'm just joking. I like hearing your message every day, but this will be tomorrow's challenge. Okay, so the challenge for the day for tomorrow is I want you to do this. I want you to find one news story. Thanks, Junaid. I want you to find one news story, the same story in both a Canadian and don't go to CNN or BBC or something. I just want to show you what I'm speaking Canadian English with you, and I want that's what I'm teaching you as well. So regardless of what I think about American or British English, this is what we're going to work with right now. So I want you to open up the Canadian Broadcast Corporation, CBC link, and I want you to open the news or Dawn. I think those are the two biggest ones that I know of in Pakistan, right? I think the Tribute, I think, why we use he has worked at BBC instead of in BBC, because BBC is not a building, BBC is a company. So I also work at a company and you work at a company. We don't work in a company. I work at a company. That's why, Junaid. So it's an abstract place, right? BBC is an abstract place. It's not a physical place. BBC is an abstract. Company is always an abstract thing. So do this challenge. Go find the same news on a Pakistani newspaper, but please a good English newspaper, a good one. And then on CBC, same news, read both the news. You can share the links if you want, but that will just take up a lot of space on the WhatsApp group. So you're welcome. Instead of taking up room on the WhatsApp group, you don't need to share anything. Just read the article on both things, and then you tell me what words you found that were different, how the expressions were different. You will see a lot of phrasal verbs on an English, an actual, a good English website. Any more questions? We just have about 3 minutes. So if anyone has any question or suggestion for upcoming workshops or the whole week, next week. So if you don't have any questions or suggestions or anything to share, then I will send this document over to you guys. Don't be shy to ask me any questions in the group if you need to. Absolutely. If you think of something later on. And let's do, if you don't get the word, but if we in the article, then you ask me, Rabia. That is a perfect question. If you don't get the words in the article, take a screenshot, highlight, copy paste, whatever you want to do, ask. Don't wait. Don't just accept it and say, oh, I don't get it. It's a very good question. Like, if you don't understand. And if you don't get the words in the Urdu article, I'm sorry, I really can't help you with that. I can help you, but I mean, I will still give you the easier version. So actually, why not? If you see a sentence in the Urdu or the Pakistani English newspaper and you don't understand, well, that'll be the two of us, me and you together, but I will help you understand. But if you're on the CBC website and you find an article and you want to understand it and you don't understand it, copy paste it, highlight it, screenshot it, whatever works for you, ask me, I'll explain it to you. Absolutely, 100%, inshallah.
Okay. Ma'am, thank you so much.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. So I will send this document over to you all. Take it and I will be looking forward to hearing from you guys and doing this challenge on the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much for taking your time and coming to the workshop today. And inshallah, see you guys next week.